Hello everybody, today I have the pleasure to propose to you this key number 27 entitled Nature, Our True Nature. Well, first of all, we're going to define what it's about concretely to make sure that we are on the same page. Secondly, let's say the field of application, also the reason for being to be reconnected to nature. Third, let's say some techniques for this reconnection, and fourth, some advice, some techniques. So, first of all, sorry about probably the technical problem regarding the fact that there will be probably a different image. Probably you will not see me except as a shadow, but this is a kind of symbol in the sense that what is really important here is this: nature, not me, not the human beings. Okay, the human beings is a substitute of nature and not the contrary. Okay, why I'm precising that? Because in our modern society, in our Western world, for which everything is based on hyper-consumption and so on and so forth, okay, nature, as let's say, we have separate nature from ourselves, our lives, our private life, and so on. And this lack of connection with nature is probably one of the reasons a lot of people feel neurotic and unbalanced, because we are missing something. The missing link can be also this lack of connection. Well, let's say this is for the definition of nature. Nature is our true nature. What does it mean? It means that we are not separate from nature. We are nature. We are part of nature. We are just alveolus of the lung. Okay, and to understand that Gaia, Mother Earth, nature in general, gave us birth, and in parallel of that, she feeds us every single day. If we are here, it's not, let's say, a nonsense. This is concretely the vision you have exactly at the same time, midday usually. I go for running and then for walking every single day. Okay, so is one of the spots I just take as a pause is 2 kilometers from my home. Okay, and this is where I sit systematically every single day just to observe, to admire, to contemplate, literally contemplate, open up the inner temple. You can see backwards there is a religious building, right? This is a kind of metaphor, right? Because in a certain extent it shows that contemplating here is just to admire the living and to see that the temple is endless. Okay, when I say all the roads lead to Rome and to home and to the dome is this: the fact that this is the most beautiful church, temple, synagogue, mosque, whatever the terminology. This is here, the terrace. This is kind of metaphor of the sociology, of the hierarchy of life. But at this stage, actually, this is just an organization to feed us, okay? And just for you to understand, here is the terrace, okay? So this is rice field, okay, for which the rice here in Asia is the equivalent of the bread for Westerners, okay? So this is the main material to eat and to live. If you have rice, you live. You don't have bad harvest and so on, you don't live. Okay, so, but this is really interesting because the Balinese culture and in general is really traditional and metaphoric, because they are very linked and connected to the cosmology, the astrology, the astronomy, sorry, the stars, the moon. If you know, when they do the, let's say they take the harvests, actually they don't do straight away. This is the priest who goes, who comes just to check with the stars, to the ancestors, the spirit, and so on, God, and after a while, after just an analysis, okay, is the proper time, or we need to wait a little bit more, and so on. Like when you prepare cooking, sometimes, oh, yeah, okay, it's supposed to be on the paper 10 minutes, and finally, okay, let's wait a little bit more, and so on. It's the same principle. And in addition of that is in different steps. Okay, you plant, so first you prepare, then you plant, and then you take the first seed, and then you do it 2 times. Okay, so at the end it is in 3 steps. But what I try to explain, and also this is a metaphor of life, because the peasant here, you can see most of them, they are like this. Why? Because this is really laborious, this is difficult, okay? In our modern society, most of the time, it's not that we have fake problems, but it puts in relief, it's emphasizing our physiological needs. And even personally, I'm never suffering of that. Imagine, it's 12 o'clock, noon, it's super hot. I'm sweating, you cannot see, but I'm sweating like crazy. Why? And they are walking. Just a few minutes back, an old woman, she just left. She probably went for a break, for eating a little bit and so on. And actually, this is quite touching, okay? It's for humility. Here is a hunt. It's really done handmade, you know, and this is something that you connecting to reality. Reality, I insist. So actually what is interesting is, unfortunately, a lot of people don't really vibrate with nature. I mean, it's okay, they're not so interested. For me, nature is really one of the milestones, let's say, a prerequisite for the reconnection and the awakening. Okay, the fact that we are off-grounded in general in our society, civilization, and so on, actually we are not touching, and we are not, let's say, it's like a battery. We don't take the natural vibration, okay? And this is for me really important. Why? It's down to earth, because for me the fullness is the link between Mother Earth, okay, heart, okay, health, plus the sky, okay? So is, okay, spirituality is the spiritus, is everything. And this is the holistic dimensions according to my vision. You know, Victor Hugo, the French writer, said it is a sad thing to realize that nature talks and humankind remains deaf. Okay? What does it mean? It means that, okay, we can discuss, we can have the theory, a lot of culture regarding a resonance, butterfly effects, ripple effect, all this kind of thing and so on, unity, blah, 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 peace and so on. This is operational. Nature, actually, when you are connected to nature, you feel nature as a part of yourself, or you are a part of nature, not separated. And if we don't have this in a mentality, we will not survive, because we establish a kind of competition. We try to spoil nature. We try to exploit a maximum, you know, to optimize for the efficiency and so on and so forth. You know, when you let like this, this is a period we let, okay? Just rest in peace a little bit, just relax. If we don't do that, so here they're doing. In certain countries, we don't do anymore. It's like if you're taking cocaine, caffeine, and you don't sleep anymore for 1 week, 1 month. What will happen? You will have a heart attack. It's the same for Earth. So when you have an earthquake, this is the consequences, okay? We're talking about cause, consequences all the time, okay? Duality, okay? Butterfly effect, boomerang effect, and so on. But this is the reality. We can claim about the government, we can claim, but it is us, individually speaking. What is our degree of consciousness regarding our consumption, our way of treating the planets? This is important. The new generation and the current generation has to really take into account this. we are doing here, for example, with the orphanage, with orphans, the orphan center, we do sensibilization. We have some campaign for recycling, for to explain to some poor people. Sometimes it's just ignorance; they don't know that's throwing away some plastic is bad for their own planet. You know, they have a very interesting triptych, which is the concept of harmony. It means the harmony with human, yourself first, human in general, nature and God. Okay, so, and actually this is, the name is Tri Itakarana. So if you don't respect nature, if you, it's like if you are pooing and peeing in your own house, what will happen? It will smell, you will have some bacteria, some disease, some virus and so on. This is at the large scale what we are doing. It's like when we push the animals, the heart and so on, the hurt, to produce more than they can. Imagine it's like you push a man to make love 10 or 15 times a day for making a maximum of baby in a village. But the guy is gonna die. It's horrible for him. Same for women. To push her, oh, you need to repopulate a country and so on, you will have 20 kids. But imagine this, it's not life, you know? It's the same principle, and we are doing exactly the same. So if we can have a mobilization for the notion of virus, we put the mask and so on, this is good. It shows that apparently we can do effort for that. So why for this last half century we didn't do anything? You know, very often I say this is a big joke, organic. It should be written shit on the other product. How come we can sell poison? This does make sense for me. But anyway, just to tell you that the reason for being to be connected to nature, first is healthy spirit in a healthy body. It's the same principle, is at the individual scale, at the collective scale, and also including in the holistic perception, also Mother Earth, also nature. And if we separate, how come you want to have, let's say, harmonious life? Actually, if we consider that Mother Earth, the heart, is like a body, okay, with a lung and so on, not necessarily emotion, but at least a kind of consciousness, like a plant growing and so on, so the planet also, it means that giving us some energy, and we discharge some energy of fear, of hate, and so on, according to our behavior, individually and collectively. Okay, so it's like chicken and egg, okay? We discharge and we receive from it, or for her, and vice versa, okay? So this is important to consider, that this reconnection is vital if we want to survive, because just one thing, Mother Earth. It's a big joke to think that, oh, we risk to destroy the planet, but the planet just can cough and then take it out, the parasite that we are sometimes. Oh, is 1,000 years, okay, it will be recycled if we disappear. Even nuclear and so on, scorpion can survive and so on. So it's okay at the planet scale, 4.6 billion years. 65 millions, okay, like dinosaur, is blink of eye, wink of eye. Okay, it's the same principle. It's just that. It's just 1 second for her. Okay, so this is important to have this humility. When you see the force of nature, tsunami, even wave when I do surfing, it's so powerful. When we live here, I knew seven earthquake, and a very huge one. Okay, at this moment, you know who's the boss. Okay, you know that you're nothing. Rich and rich, beautiful house and beautiful is the same result. We are very vulnerable, and even more, the soil is not stable. It means that even that at this scale is not stable. So this is really an invitation of carpe diem, enjoy the present time as a gift, and also to say, okay, you're not my servants, you're not my master, you're just a collaborator. Thank you, I'm grateful for that, and so on. This is important to have this notion. and also to integrate the notion of ecosystem. What is it? Ecosystem is the principle of the watch. Okay, the watch, you have different components, so for which there is individual functionality. If you take it out, some of them, it doesn't work anymore, and we kicked out, I mean, we killed half of the species, okay, regarding animals and so on, plants, variety and so on. How come it's unbalanced now? How come the watch is still working? It doesn't work, so why? It's so good. So it's not necessarily conspiracy to realize that there is virus, there will be. I'm not, let's say, clairvoyant on that. We will have a lot of more virus. Why? Because there is a lot of virus in the permafrost. That's to say, what's inside the ice in the northern hemisphere. Okay, it's full of virus. Okay, so it will appear if we don't change our way of consuming, our way of producing, and so on. So it's a question of, it's not to scare. It's not to fear and to say it's down and let's go to a bunker. No, it's just to sensibilize people. It's difficult, but we can do it, and we have to do it all together, but also locally. Be the change that you want to see in the world. This is Gandhi philosophy. It's so true. It's so true. So the goal also is just happiness, to admire, to open up the temple, the inner temple and the outer temple in general. Well, what are the techniques? The techniques are the following. There is 12 ones. So the first one is to take care about nature and also to have a certain knowledge regarding how does it work, because you can be taught with local people, you can be taught through internet and so on, but then to go on the spot to admire the organization in real and so on, to admire the magic. You know, for example, the orchestration, the organization of the roots of a forest. Okay, they communicate like internet network. There is like magnetism. So internet exists for them for centuries, millenniums, and so on. So to admire that, to admire the fact that, for example, if there is a threat, animal and so on want to eat them, they will give the information and they will produce a certain bitter substance to take them out. It's completely crazy. It's super well done. There is a consciousness. This is Baxter effect. The Baxter effect is a guy who discovered the fact to put some electrode on a plant, that there was a kind of consciousness and communication. Of course, it's not hello, how are you? But it's kind of stimuli, and it's really, really interesting and fascinating to understand it like this. So I invite you to perceive as well nature as a metaphor, full of teaching, like feng shui of life. For example, when you cut a little bit around a tree, it will grow up more harmoniously. It's the same principle for, let's say, being a minimalist. When you sell or you give your wardrobe and so on, you feel, lighter. You see, it's the same principle. Or, for example, the fact that a tree, if there is a lot of wind, hard condition and so on, it's stronger, is more resistant, is kind of resilience. This is really interesting because it's full of really wise teaching. Well, we have a lot like this actually. I would like to tell you something like this is part of a book I wrote. Is the following, and you can find it on Synthesis of Saint Thesis. It's for free on my website. Each being embodies a leaf on the tree of life. We are animated by the same soap, linked by the same roots, and interconnected at our depth. In an endless cycle, each leaf on earth finds peace, turns into humus, and replays the game as fertilizer to better grow the tree and that hides the forest. Okay, it shows that there is an interconnection with everything. And also, the tree is really metaphorical. Why? Because you have the arborescence, the orchestration, and also the interconnection through the sap, and also the fact that the invisible part is probably as much as important as the visible part, exactly like physics and metaphysics, visible, invisible world, exoteric, esoteric, and so on and so forth. Okay, this is really important to see the teaching and direct teaching. I repeat, Victor Hugo, this is a sad thing to realize that nature talks, but the mankind remains deaf. Then I invite you, in terms of techniques, to go to forest as much as you can. Okay, forest for which there is phyton seed. Phyton seed, what is it? It is some particle from the tree, and it gives you a good feeling. You feel definitely, it's like oxygen, and you feel a lot of, you activate hormones of happiness, okay, endorphins, and you feel definitely like stone or like drinking a little bit, okay, and naturally you feel good. That's why so many people feel that and feel this natural appeal for nature. Okay, so I invite you to go regularly to forest. This is what Japanese called Shinrin Yoku. Okay, so this is, it means forest bath. Okay, so, and is more and more common coming to Western world, not because it's trendy, because apparently it brings a lot, it's good for health and also for the mind, just for being in harmony and to be happy in general. Go to beach if you can afford. Of course, if you have the chance, personally I have beach here at 5 kilometers, but I live in Shanghai. Shanghai literally in Chinese means high on the sea, but we were at 40 kilometers. We never see the sea, by the way. I mean, for 10 years, because it's an airport, it's the biggest one in the world, and you don't have access like this. Okay, but if you can afford, try to go regularly because it's good. It's full of crystals. The sun, the water with the salt and so on is extremely good to reactivate your chakras and so on and so forth. It's extremely good for health. Then you have many, actually all types of landscape have their own treasures. Like mountain, you will have a lot of oxygen. You will have some rivers, some fountains. All this kind of thing is a source of energy, very deep energy. And this is good for recycling your chakra and so on. I invite you to practice the meditative walk. What is it concretely? Is the fact to coordinate your pace, okay, each step with your heart beating, okay? So the goal by synchronizing like this is activate something, a balance in your brain, and thereby you are really calm, you are balanced, and you have much more creativity afterwards. So I really invite you to do it. It allows you to practice mindfulness. Personally, I did it for a session of 3 days, silence, no electricity, like in a hut and so on, no comfort, alone. And I did in this kind of rice field like this in few kilometers from here. And actually it's really interesting because, you know, you can see it's not very, let's say, large, okay? It's maybe 20 or 30 centimeters. So if you don't pay attention, you're like punished, okay? So you really have to anchor, to ground, and to visualize this for each step. And it's really a metaphor of the present time, okay? Present, 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 present. And actually, when you practice that, you empty your mind and you access to the, let's say, the instants, and also the fact that the eternal moments of the present time, which is a gift. Well, I invite you also to go like this in nature, and just by not doing anything, just to observe, to admire, to contemplate, just wow, just like this. Okay, and you don't analyze, oh, it's beautiful, oh, this is this. No, you don't analyze, you just admire. Okay, I also invite you to try to find, as a game, you go and you try to find your 7 colors of chakra and to synchronize. Okay, so green is not too difficult to find here. Okay, so I told you already, the color is a degree of hertz vibration. Okay, so matching with this chakra, heart chakra. So you try to feel like mindfulness, you feel this green matching, like responding, like common thread in between both, like emitting, receiving, and so on, and like a communication. And you try to do it minimum 1 minute per color. So green, you will find a rose, it will be for your root chakra, and so on and so forth. You try to do this game to find in nature, naturally, can be you, with your kids or with your partner, whatever, or alone basically, but try to find. It's fun, and in parallel it's really activating. Try to do, so I know that some people will laugh and it's not a big deal. Try to find a tree and to hug the tree. You will feel first a kind of young energy, that's to say a strong energy, a male energy, like a deity energy, you know, like grandpa, like a solid, like ancestor, like ages, you know. This is very nice energy. And in parallel of that, you have also sometimes a kind of flexibility, which is more yin energy, okay, feminine energy, like mommy, okay, you know, like caress and so on. And try to give a maximum of energy of your sorrow, your sadness, whatever. You discharge, you ask, please take my burdens officially. And then try to ask also, please give me, recharge my batteries, for example. And then you will visualize and you will feel, you will try to feel the fact that the tree will bring you what you need. Another point with the tree, because is to find a magic tree. Personally, my father and my mother, they are not necessarily in spirituality, but they do that activity to hug. And they have, my father has a magic tree, and is a tree interesting because we can see, we don't know exactly the story, but we can see that someone tried to cut, okay, and maybe something happened and he changed his mind, or anyway. So it's like a miracle. So he has really compassion, and it's like he established a kind of friendship with this tree. So every time we go to this forest, we need to go to see the magic tree. So what is interesting is to have your own magic tree. I mean, own, it's not your property, of course, but to establish a kind of proximity with this tree. It will listen to you, your problems, your doubts, your anger sometimes, and it will recycling. It will be a good hearing most of the time. It will not disturb you too much with bad question, and it will be not too intrusive. Of course, it's a joke. But what I try to explain is this: is the fact that it's good to discharge, and also in parallel to share your good moments. Oh, I met a new girl. Oh, I met a guy, and so on. Oh, maybe I will have a baby, and so on. All of what you have here, you can share. Okay, this is important as well. Also, the magic tree, when you sit. Despite the season, snow, sometimes autumn, and so on, with a good jacket, you will see the different vision, the perspective that the tree has, and you will be more connected to this romance of life, the poetry of nature in general. And also it will give you like the stand. You know, you will feel in your backbone this stability, okay, regardless, the events, regardless the movement of the season and so on. And also you can take notes, just to think, to contemplate, to write, to, I don't know, to compose music and so on. This is a good source of inspiration as well. I invite you to try and to have your own magic tree. Another point is to try to lay down on the soil, on the heart sometimes. If you can do it every week is good, and also to walk a maximum barefoot to really feel the energy with the soul we have most of the time in caoutchouc. We don't have the energy of Mother Earth, so it's good sometimes to have that, and also to feel the cosmic pulse of the Mother Earth. You know, personally, I'm every full moon. Today is a full moon. I prepare a fire. Okay, so I go to pick up some wood. I don't cut a tree, of course. I recycle. So most of the time it's big part. So I need to cut it and so on. And you can imagine when I go home, I'm full of, I'm blooding for everywhere, I'm dirty and so on, like an animal, like really like a Viking. And I like that, not to make the male, it's not that, it's just to find my animal part, the fact to be really in nature, you know, to be grounded, to be really anchored. Anyway, I really invite you to do this type of things, to put your hand into the soil, to feel it, to take it like this, you know. And also because it's not dirty, you see here, it's dry, by the way, but you know, this is not dirty. This is not dirty, it's not dirt. I mean, it's just natural, you see. But when you put your hand in it, you feel something, like you really feel living. And so it can be for that, it can be just feeling your feet on the ground, I mean, grounded, anchored, and also to lay down a maximum of time. Last techniques is to try to allocate a special part, if you can afford it, if you have a garden, to have some plants that you planted, like vegetable, if you can afford it, and so on. If you are living in a city, I mean, if you just have a balcony is enough, or even inside you just have a plot, for instance, and just having, I don't know, mint or tomato and so on, just to have the pleasure to just put some seed and to water every day, and just to observe that it's evolving and there is life inside, and it's just like marveling at life and finding back your inner child in a certain extent, and to marvel at life and to be in the notion of grateful. Thank you. Who? We don't care, just nature in general. But it's really fascinating. And when you can afford it, and you have, for example, cherry tomato and so on, just when you eat them, okay, even one single one that you spend, I don't know, a couple of months to get it, I swear to you, the taste is just amazing, because it's yours. It's like your baby. Whatever his face or her face is beautiful, because this is coming from deep, from your heart, from your body. So this is exactly that. It is not that you give birth to these plants and so on, but you allowed the process of it thanks to the connection with nature. And this is very beautiful and down to earth for me, spirituality. Some advice, some tips: try to be enthusiastic. Enthusiasm, as I told you, etymologically speaking in Greek, means crossed by God, by the divinity. Okay, so try to enjoy the fact to be connected to nature. At the beginning, maybe it will be a bit, oh, I don't want to go and so on. And then you will find something and you will say, I feel better. Okay, it's true that I needed that. Like this, I feel recharged and so on. I feel more relaxed and so on. So try to do it several times, regularly, at least once a week. If you can afford twice a week, and if you still can afford every 2 days, 3 times a week, it would be amazing. Even just a tiny thing, just going on the ground and so on, is already enough. And no need, if you don't have access to nature like this, maybe a park, if you are in a big city and so on. Just that is already amazing. Okay, so try to do it with regularly, and also with enthusiasm. It can be an extension with animals, pets, animals, and so on. Personally, I have cats that I love, of course, and there is reciprocity also. But here, there is full of cats, full of animals, pets, but they're on the street, okay? So usually they come at you and so on. They want some love, some food, and so on. It's really interesting how you can recycling and give energy, and you receive more energy and so on. But it can be also, you know, for birds and so on. Here we have lots of, we have a contact with nature, for example, in our house, villa, whatever, and it's not question of it's dirty, but we have lots of gecko. Gecko is kind of a lizard, and it's everywhere. Sometimes you open up a cupboard and you find one, or in the microwave and so on. It's not dirty, it's just, and every time I say, oh, what's going on? Hey, you're here, oh, welcome, or this kind of thing. Like, I don't know, I really have a real love to even these tiny things, like Since I'm talking for more than 1 hour, even before, I was seeing lots of butterfly. I would like to kiss them, to hug them, but it's not possible, otherwise you affect them. And it's very beautiful metaphor because it's unconditional love. This is the fact to love at distance life in general. And the more you vibrate that, the more people feel that love in general for everything. This is grateful. For me, this is practitioner. No need necessity to go there to pray. You can go. So it's beautiful. Probably if you need. Okay, whatever the temple, whatever the sign, whatever the level. But here is another story as well. For me, it's honoring the living God, whatever the name, the source of life in general. Well, I invite you to think about that. This is one key for you to shape step by step your master key to open up the doors, or the door, the gate of consciousness. And as you know, all the roads lead to Rome and to home and to Dome. Thank you for your attention and see you very soon.